Welcome back to Luxury Designs. In today's video, we're going to be learning how to cut a simple straight cut long gown and then a bustier blouse. Okay, so stay tuned with me to the end of this video to know how to sew, to cut and sew these two things: a straight cut skirt, a simple skirt, and then a bustier blouse. A very simple bustier blouse. The bustier blouse is very easy to sew. So if this is what you're interested to learn how to do, please stay tuned to the end of this video for a detailed explanatory video on how to cut this bustier blouse, put your breast pad, and make it look so beautiful. Stay tuned and watch to the end of this video. Don't forget to like this video. So to cut this particular dress, don't forget that we have a total of 6 yards, an assumed 6 yards of material. Okay, so I folded into two, and then I'm also trying to cut out the length of my skirt. I folded into two, leaving my zipper allowance. Okay, I'm going to trim it out, so I just have my zipper allowance. So I'm just cutting out the length of my skirt because this skirt is just going to be a long straight gown. If you know how to cut a simple straight gown or a pencil straight skirt or a pencil skirt, okay, this is going to be very easy for you. So what I'm doing is to mark my waist measurement plus my sewing allowance. All right, your waist measurement plus your sewing allowance, and then you mark on this side. You can see the side that I'm marking on is not on the folded side. Okay, is the side that has a double folding. It's not on the side that has one side folded and one side open. Please ensure that you take note of this, especially if you want to have a zipper on your skirt. Okay, so then I want to measure from my waist to my hip where it's going to be stopping. So I measured it and I saw that it was 9 inches. Ensure that you measure your own. And then I removed my tape higher than 1 inch, okay, because I'll be adding my band. I hope this is clear to you. Okay, so at that point where I marked 9 inches, I placed my tape horizontally and marked my hip measurements plus my sewing allowance. Once you have done these two measurements on your straight cut skirt, that's pretty old, because with that hip measurement you continue to the down to the down part of this skirt. Okay, so I just got my new measurement, my knee length measurement, and then I continued. I'm just maintaining the same measurements that I measured from my hip to the lower part of the skirt. Okay, it's not a pencil skirt. Okay, take note, it's just a simple straight skirt. All right, it's not a pencil skirt. This is a very simple skirt, please. So, and then I continued the measurement all the way to the lower end of this blouse. So I'm just marking 1.5 inches, and this is for my zipper allowance on this other side. Okay, so I'm cutting it out, and this side that I'm cutting out is for my zipper allowance. Now we'll go ahead and cut out the sides. Okay, this is the side for my hip and my waist measurement. All right, then I'll cut out the top, which I confirmed to be the length of my skirt. So this is the full length of my skirt. Very simple. Cut out your lining with these same steps. So this is my fabric now. This is completely 30 inches plus the length of my blouse plus sewing allowance. Okay, 30 inches. This is just for the front part of this dress. Okay, and then you can even see that I discovered that I left extra 1 inch. That is 16 inches on fold. When I open it, it's 32 inches. All right, this is to allow me to have enough allowances by the side. This is a bustier, so whatever you have as your bust measurement divided by 2, add 6 inches, add 2 inches again for your sewing allowance. So when I do this, okay, very simple, add 6 inches, add 2 inches again for your sewing allowance. Okay, you're going to be having nothing less than 30. All right, so do this with your own bust measurement. Then you can see the way I folded into two, just this way. You can see my folding, and this 30 inches and 19 inches, that's 30 inches horizontally and 19 inches vertically. Okay, I folded 5 inches inward, just like this. You can see the way I folded the 5 inches inward, because on this part is where I'm going to be marking my bustier measurement. All right, this is only for the front part of my dress, only for the front part of my blouse. The back part will be cut afresh. So this 30 inches, don't just mistaking it for front and back. Oh, no, this is for just the front part of my blouse. Okay, this is a bustier cotton, so you can see how it looks. I use 19 inches for my shoulder to my waist, okay, because it's going to have a peplon lower end. So from from shoulder to my waist, 19 inches. This is plus my sewing inches up and sewing inches down, joining allowances. Okay, so at the end of the day I'll have 18 inches. Okay, so I have 5 inches on fold. I hope this my explanation is very clear. Now you have a choice of pinning it up so that it doesn't shift, but if you know you can maintain it, you can go ahead and mark your measurements. Now on the side you are going to be marking, see the side that I'm going to be marking. So that's why I'm turning this fabric all around so you can see it carefully and know how it's folded. You are going to be getting from the top your 10 inches, that shoulder to your bust measurement. Measure your own. That's why I'm not telling you my measurement, so that you don't take mine and mistaken it for your own. But perhaps I can't help it because you are seeing this part. Now I also measured 14 inches for my lower bust measurements. Very, very simple. So shoulder to my bust is 10 inches. Shoulder to my lower bust is 14 inches. Okay, so I have this marked on that 5 inches fold. Okay, don't forget that I folded a piece of this fabric into 2 and then I got 5 inches. This is 5 inches on a fold. Now I'm going to be measuring. Look at the side that I'm marking my measurement on, please be careful so you don't spoil your material. Now I'm going to be marking 1 inch. Okay, this is totally determined by the bust size of the person. Now you can actually also use ½ inch. It depends on how curvy and cuppy you want the bustier to be. All right, so I'm using, some people use as much as 1½ inches. All right, it depends on what you prefer. If you want your bustier to be very curvy, so I just want to use 1 inch, and you can see where I marked. This is the lower part of my blouse. Okay, that's where I have that 1 inches mark. Then I marked it up to my waist measurement, then connected it up to my, I marked it up to my under bust measurement, sorry, then I connected it all the way up to my bust measurement, and then all the way up to my neck measurement. Okay, now I want my neck measurement to be that same 5 inches. Okay, I hope it's very clear. So from this part, from the top of my blouse, I'm going to be marking 5 inches. So this 5 inches, I extended it to 5½ inches so that it's not too high for my neck. Then you can see the way I marked that line. I'm now going to connect from this point all the way down to my neck measurement. Okay, it's totally optional for you to continue with this 5x5 measurement, because if you check it well, what I have now is 5x5 measurement. I continued with the 5 inches of the fold, and then I marked another 5 inches. All right, so, and I did a little bit of design, but this design is totally optional. You can decide to go with a simple round neck. You can decide to do a little design on your neckline. It's totally optional. So I used the 5x5.5. Rather, don't forget I extended it by ½ inches. So I used a 5x5.5 mark for my neckline. Okay, and then you can see where that my 5 inches, I extended it up all to the neck area. Okay, and then when you are sure that you have marked the right measurements, and look at how, in fact, examine this fabric very well so that you don't cut or mark on the wrong side. Okay, and then I'll be cutting along the line. Okay, I'm sorry that I shifted a bit from the camera. So, and this is it, and then I'll go ahead and mark and cut out my neckline measurement, and that is pretty all for the front part of this blouse, the cutting, because okay, you have to also cool down to know how to cut and sew it together, but it's very simple. I can assure you this video is very beginner friendly. Okay, so this is it. I have the center part of this my blouse, okay, and then I have the 2 sides. Now I'm going to be using a bra cup to sew this bustier. I would also use an ST, okay, to stiffen the material a bit, and that's it. Okay, so it's very simple. Before I go ahead and cut out my shoulder, that's my armhole, okay, on this part, I'm going to join the sides. Just stay with me and see how I'm going to do it. It's very, very simple. All right, so we have cut out that part for the front. Now I'm cutting out the part for the back. Now the back is just very, very simple and straightforward. 1.5 inches marked by the side for your zipper allowance. I'm trying to mark out the shoulder to your waist, so that's what I'm trying to mark out now. Then I'll cut it out. Then I'll mark my 1.5 mark for my zipper allowance. This is giving me enough for my zipper allowance. Okay, you can decide to go with 1 inch, you can decide to go with 2 inches if you are not sure, if you are not, but 2 inches seems a bit much, but 1.5 inches is quite enough for your zipper, because you can use half to sew in your lining and then use half to sew this zipper. So depends on what you want to work with. So I'm going ahead to mark my 5 inches again. Don't forget that whatever you marked for your neck width, okay, for the front must be the same thing for the back. Okay, then the neck depth you can vary at it. So I just used 2.5 inches so to mark my neck depth. So I went ahead and marked my shoulder. I came down by 1 inch, and then I marked my armhole at 8 inches. Okay, then from my neck to my shoulder line I used 7.5. Then for my armhole line I used 8 inches. So please measure yours and use yours. Okay, so I'm just going to also measure my mark my bust measurement plus my sewing allowance. That's what I'm marking. So just measure yours. Be intentional about taking your own measurements so that you don't just mark mine, okay, on yours. So and then I connected it, and that's pretty it for the back. I will also mark out my dart measurement, because the back is also going to have a simple straight dart, and that is it. So I'm just trying to cut it out, cut out the shoulder, the neckline, and cut open the zipper side area. Okay, very, very simple, very, very simple. So now from my zipper line, I'll be marking my dart line, okay, of 5 inches, just maintaining the same dart I marked out for the front. So I just maintained it at 5 inches. I marked it. So that is it for that back. All those pieces I'm going to cut out, every piece, both for the front, the back, the skirt. I'm going to cut out the same pattern with a lining, all right, so that when I'm turning it out it's very easy. Okay, so please cut out yours on a lining. So I'm just folding up and I'm trying to cut a simple straight sleeve. Nothing too fashionable in the sleeve. Okay, but before then I'm cutting out the peplum for the lower part of my blouse. Okay, I don't forget that I told you that this blouse is going to be having a peplum. So I'm just trying to measure out my waist measurement. You can see the way I folded it too. Okay, please, if you didn't see it, please try to reverse back. You can make the thing to be on slower motion, okay, on a slow motion, so that you can mark it. You can see the way I folded it if you're not sure of how to fold this flare. Okay, so I have this flare folded with my waist measurement plus allowance, because it's going to be connecting on one side or at the back side for my zipper. So just add zipper allowance as well. It's better that it is so much, a little more than required than it is shorter than what is required. Okay, I always tell people when they are cutting a flare, please add allowance, so that it's better that you have to cut out a little leftover than for you to have something shorter than what is required. All right, so I marked out my waist measurement. Then the next thing I'm